Okay, so in this video we're checking out the V-Coptr Falcon. This is a bicopter aerial platform type of drone, camera drone, similar to like a DJI Mavic, something like that, but only 2 arms and 2 motors and 2 propellers, not 4. So bicopter, not a quadcopter. I think this is one of the first ones out there. There's a few more I think that are also on the market that are cheaper, but this is one of the more high-end ones with a 4K camera and a 3-axis gimbal, and this features a very, very long flight time. I think they're advertising up to 50 minutes, so that's one of the selling features. I did do a unboxing. I will link the video for that in the video description if you do want to see everything that comes in the box. I'll briefly show you what comes in the box. Of course, it comes in 2 boxes actually. So the one on the left here is the main box with the drone and the drone accessories, and then the one in the middle is the blast-off controller. That's this guy right here that controls the drone, and you connect your phone to that, and that comes in a separate box. I'm not exactly sure why they did it that way. I'm thinking maybe you can control the drone with just your phone. I'll find out later if that's possible or not. I know some DJI drones you can control them with just the phone and not the controller if you want sort of a compact setup. The case over there is a foam box case that the drone comes in, but it does not let you put the controller in. It's a very small case just for the drone. Let's see here. We got a small gimbal cover here, gimbal protector for the camera, like a lot of other DJI drones. You get this landing pad thing here. This goes on the battery. It's on the bottom, and you attach it to the battery around here, I think, something like this. It's for extra stability when you're landing and taking off. I'm going to not put this on and see how stable it is on landing and takeoffs, just landing on the bottom, which it's a very small point. So we'll see how that works out. You get a neck strap for your controller, USB-C cable that goes from the controller to your phone, 2 spare propellers. So you get 2 spare propellers here. You get a screwdriver and spare screws for the propellers. So you get a bunch of documentation, quick guide, some warnings, disclaimers. The quick guides for the drone and the controller are also downloadable as PDFs on the website. The controller itself, I'll show you that here in a little more detail. This is the battery charger, so it's got a US plug on mine, USB connection here, so obviously you connect this here, that other cord for the controller to charge the controller and the drone battery, and it's got the typical flat pins for your drone battery. On the bottom of the controller you have 2 USB ports. One is a USB-A, one is a USB-C. The USB-C is for charging, also for firmware updates. I'll explain that in a second. And then this use the USB-A to USB-C to your phone. If you have a iPhone, I think you're going to need some sort of a lightning adapter, USB-C to lightning adapter. This drone does not come with that. So the stick ends are, you can actually unscrew them out, and they come stored in the back here. You put it inside here. This is the phone holder. So I've already extended out the antennas. The antennas go like this, and you can flip them up like this, or you can rotate them around. Kind of depends on how you want the antennas to go. And then you can flip this phone holder part all the way around. That goes to the front like this. So you obviously would hold it like this, and then you could adjust the angle of your phone as you please, and then you have the spring-loaded clamp here to hold down your phone. But then of course you have to watch out where your buttons are, so sometimes the buttons might get in the way. Be aware of that. Standard centering throttle on your gimbals here. They feel pretty nice. They're smaller, similar to, they feel kind of like a Mavic Mini type of gimbals. Nothing too special, but I'm sure it can be more than adequate for this type of drone. Got a return to home button here, stop button here. You got some LED lights over here in the front, power button here on the left, sport mode and normal mode here. Switch on the left here, and the power button's on the right actually. So on the top you have a video button, photo button. You've got a dial here. This is for your camera controls. I think it's just for exposure value. And then over here on the left is the gimbal control for up and down on the gimbal. And then in the back you have 2 buttons for custom functions you can adjust in the app. Sticks go in here, and that's pretty much it for the controller. So taking a quick look around the drone itself, you have to press and hold these two buttons here. There's one on each side over here, and then one on this side to raise up the arms. And if you don't do that, you might break something inside here. So there's a warning about that. So you have to hold that, and then the arms will come up like so. Bring up both of these. And then the props and the motors, they're on a obviously pretty unique setup here. Folding props, you have a motor. This is all metal, of course, and this is metal here that's holding it on. Then you have another motor that's actually adjusting the angle of the motor. So there's a motor inside the arm that adjusts the angle of the main motor that's spinning the prop, and that controls your direction and stability of the drone. And then the arm here, I think, is mostly like a plastic feeling. It's not metal, but it looks like it's fairly strong. The whole drone weighs about 720 grams, so obviously if you're looking for something that's going to be under 250 grams, this is definitely not going to be it. Got a little port over here on the left side. Micro SD card slot, and there's a little orange or red button there for binding the drone to the controller. You have to do that for the first time when you launch up the app, and that will bind up the drone and the controller together. On the other side here we have a USB-C port. This is for firmware updates. I'll explain that here in a second. Heat vents here for the dissipation of heat. There's fans inside, of course, like other DJI drones, very similar there. You have these sliding latches here. This is for removing the battery. So we had to slide both of them back. There's one on the other side as well. And then the battery will pop out. And it's a pretty tight fit. All right. So here's the battery. Got a button here on the bottom. Shows you your charge levels. That's where you connect the battery charger connection right there. Yeah, it's got some landing feet here on the bottom. So the battery is a 15.4 volt, 4500 milliamp hour battery. So you do have some sensors here on the drones for obstacle avoidance. You have two front-facing sensors. On the bottom here, you have an optical flow sensor and a bottom-facing infrared sensor as well for obstacle avoidance. There are no sensors in the back. You just have a light here showing you some indication of power, and also, if there's any other warnings, etc. So the camera here, 4K camera, obviously on a 3-axis gimbal. You have some shock mounts here, pretty typical for a lot of DJI drones. So it's obviously going to have very good stability, good video. The sensor is a 1/2.3 inch CMOS sensor, similar to like the DJI Mini 2. A lot of GoPros have that same size sensor, so you're going to have pretty similar video quality. It's a 12 megapixel photo sensor, so that puts, I think, 4,000 by 3,000 pixel images. The aperture is a f2.2, and the focal length is at about a 28 millimeter equivalent. So that roughly translates into a field of view of about 77 degrees. So the max range on the drone is 7 kilometers, and it's a hard limit. It's actually built into the app, so once you reach that limit, it actually won't allow you to go any further. I think with a 50-minute flight time, you could probably go further, but right now that's what the current limit is, and that's actually a hard limit inside the app. All right, so the first time you turn everything on, you're going to have to actually do a bunch of firmware updates. So this system here is not like the DJI system where you can get the firmware updates from the app itself and it'll actually wirelessly update it. You have to actually connect it to your computer via the USB-C connections on the controller and on the drone. So it's a little bit old school, kind of like some of those Hubsan or Fimi models. I think some of them still do that as well. So they're not quite as modern as DJI, but it still works. You have to go to the support website. It's called the Fly Kit. I think the latest version that I used was 1.6.1. You have to download that, and part of the download and part of the installation process, you install the app. And you have to also install the USB drivers, so make sure that you follow along with the installation. Make sure you say yes to all the prompts, because if you don't have the USB drivers, then the drone won't connect and you can't connect. You won't be able to update the firmware. So I updated my drone firmware first, and it was pretty simple. So basically, turn the drone on, hold down the power button for 5 seconds, and then the drone will power on. Plug in the USB cable, The computer will recognize the drone if the USB drivers are installed correctly, and then it'll detect that, oh, the Falcon is connected. You can just hit that and go to the next page, and it'll say, oh, okay, we need to update you to the latest firmware. It'll detect the firmware and the serial number of the drone, etc. And just follow along with that. Just hit the prompts and go ahead and update it. It takes about 10 minutes to complete all the update process for the drone. It'll reboot a couple times. Just make sure that you don't disconnect the computer. Also make sure that if you're using a laptop, for example, don't let it go to sleep, because then I don't know what happens. It might brick the drone if it stops in the middle of the update process. So make sure your computer doesn't go to sleep. Don't make sure your USB cable isn't just connected accidentally, and just allow it to finish. It will reboot a couple times, and then it'll tell you, okay, it's done at the end, and it's been successful. You gotta do the same thing for the controller. You gotta turn it on, plug in the USB-C cable. It'll detect it, and then again follow the prompts to do the firmware updates, and then you should be good to go. Next thing you gotta do is you go to the Google Play Store, download the V-Coptr app, and install that. You do have to register and create a login to their site via the app. So basically, I used my email address. You can use your phone number as well if you want. So I use my email address to sign up via email, log in, create an account, password, and then you'll be able to get to the next page. And then the first time you turn on the drone and the controller, it won't be bound. You have to turn everything on, then go to the little behind the little door above the SD card is that red button for binding the drone to the controller. You have to press that actually after you turn on the drone, within like a few seconds after everything is booted up, go ahead and press that red button, and then it will start the bind process. And then on the controller, it'll explain the whole process to go through, and then just hit connect, and it should connect. You can only do it one time. The next time you turn everything on, everything will be automatically connected. All right, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate everything here. Just go turn on the controller first. I'll turn on the drone. Okay, I'm gonna plug in my phone here. All right, so I've launched the app. Hit let's go. And then you can choose a flight mode. Okay, I'll hit manual control. And now we have an image from the drone here, so you can see. So it doesn't look like there's manual controls for the camera yet, at least on this version of the software. You can see the video feed from the drone. There's some stats here on the bottom for your altitude, your speed, etc. There's some buttons here on the left for takeoff and return to home. You can start and stop your recording here. So there's actually about 3 gigabytes of flash storage that's accessible via the USB-C port. It'll show up as a USB-C drive. But obviously if you want to record more, you probably want to put a micro SD card in there. So just tap on the record button. It'll actually record stuff. Even though there's no micro SD card in there, it actually records to the internal USB drive. And same with the photos. Like I said, the scroll button here on the upper right is your EV control. So if you want to brighten up the image, you can do that. But that's all you can change is the EV setting. I guess that's useful because everything's on auto settings, and there's no ND filters that I'm aware of on this. So that's probably the only thing you can do. And then of course the left scroll wheel here is for the gimbal. You can lower that down, etc. You have your menus here on the upper right. What to do when you get lost signal, return to home, obviously. You can set your return to home point either to the takeoff point or wherever the controller is. If you're, for example, in a car, and you can set your return to home altitude, max flight altitude, etc. So these are all customizable. Calibrate your sensors here. So you can calibrate your IMU and your compass, pretty standard stuff here. You can adjust your settings for your controller. So obviously I'm on mode 1, but if you want to switch to mode 3 or mode 1 or 3, you can do that. The custom buttons on the back are adjustable here. You can change it to what you want, and you can do free both of them. And then some stats on the battery, shows you your per cell charge. So this is a 4-cell battery, looks like. And you can, there's just your critical low battery warning and low battery warning here. And then you actually have, let's see, let's try that down to like 20%. Actually 25% is the lowest. You have battery info, shows you how many cycles there are, etc. Current status is normal. So fairly basic. I can see right here on the upper right, you can show GPS lock. I got 11 satellites locked and 95% on the battery. So, and then over here is also showing the amount of storage available. Obviously about 3 gigs, because that's what's inside. It'll increase if you put a micro SD card in there. So that's going to do it for the introduction of the drone. We'll go ahead and take it out to the field, see how it performs and what kind of video footage we can get. Alright, let's turn on the drone. Alright, so I'm going to turn on the drone first. I actually have the arms up and the motors and props all the way out, just so when I take off it's not going to flip over. It might be a little bit of bounce. I'm going to try and take it off here on this grass. I want to see how, oh, actually maybe on those little platforms over there. Just something flat, but see how it goes. Let's go into the app. And we're going to do manual control first. Looking at the app, we don't have any GPS signals yet. Going to wait for that. It says I could take off, but it's obviously going to be in manual control mode. Already down to 94% battery. That's after I lost about 5% on the bench. Just kind of you know, connecting everything up and setting up the stuff. Also, the firmware updates took about a little bit of battery as well. Up to 10 satellites. All right, I'm going to set the drone down over here. Okay, I have a GPS lock now. I'm going to stand here in the shade. So I haven't done any compass calibration yet or gyro calibration. I just want to see how it does. There's a little bit of a crosswind coming from this direction to this direction. I'll see how it takes off. Hopefully won't have any issues. So there's the startup sequence. So it just spins up the props. All right, so it's up. Interesting. I'm gonna bring it a little closer. It's actually pretty quiet. Surprisingly quiet. So, put it up here. I'm gonna just show you what it looks like in the air. You can kind of see it, kind of dangling there, kind of like a monkey on some monkey bars. Obviously, the arms and the gimbal are doing all of the stabilization on the screen. It's nice and rock solid. All right, so I am in normal mode right now. I'm gonna take it out here a little bit. And some flybys. This is full stick forward. Turn around. All right, so let's do another full stick forward here. So, not super fast, but not slow either. It's a pretty decent speed. And actually I'm going to record a little bit of video here just to see what the stabilization is like. Let's go to sport mode. And hit the notification on the screen there. Let's go down this way and let's turn it around. Looks pretty stable in there, even though with it's kind of bobbing around, but the video is nice and solid. All right. Go right at me here. This is sport mode. Let's see here, let's turn it around. I'm gonna try and go right by me here in sport mode. Full stick forward. All right, so that's pretty fast. Let's go up a little higher. Now let's see what the speed is on the screen here. I'm gonna go full stick forward. And it's about 9 meters per second in sports mode. Bring it back. I'll put it back in normal mode. I'm gonna go full stick forward here. So it's about 7 meters per second. It's getting pretty windy right now. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to hear that on the microphone. I had the microphone tucked under my shirt and it's coming from behind me, but this thing's flying really nice considering the wind. But for a drone of this cost, it ought to fly that good. See the little lights there in the behind and also on the arms. Got some red lights on the arms, green light in the back. Very maneuverable. So I'm only down to 86% battery, and yeah, it's surprisingly quiet for how heavy it is and the big props and everything. Obviously it's only 2 motors and 2 props. But it looks like we have the vision system enabled. Let's click on that. Let's just see if it, I know in sports mode the obstacle avoidance doesn't work. So let's just see if it is able to avoid me. I'm gonna bring it down. And so I'm in the shadow here. I'm gonna come out so you can see me. Come out into the sun. So the sun's behind me, so you can see I'm in silhouette. Getting pretty close. Doesn't seem like it's gonna stop. That's really close there. So maybe the obstacle avoidance is not set correctly. I'll have to look into that. Alright, let me go. Let's stop that recording and I'll start a new one. And let's play around with the gimbal here. Have the gimbal go down so you can see how the exposure is when you're facing into the sun. The dynamic range of the sensor is not the best. I rotate it around. Alright, so let me see what the vertical speed is. We go straight up. This is in normal mode. Seems to be lag. It's about 4 meters per second max. Slight lag in the readout on the screen. Bring it back down again. All right, let's go into sports mode again, and we're gonna go straight up, full stick up. It's about 5 meters per second, so a little bit faster. It does shoot up pretty quick though. Bring it back down. Yeah, you can see when I'm pointing into the sun, where I am under the tree here, the screen gets very dark. Let's get a little closer to the tree. And if I'm pointed away, so basically things that are backlit are going to look better in your video. I think that's what you're going to want in terms of your best video output. Alright, so I'm going to stop the recording via the button on the controller, so that stops the video recording. Let's take some photos. And we'll yaw around. Let's bring it back down. Let's take a photo of me. I'm going to come around to the other side so I'm lit up correctly. So you can see how it is nice and stabilized. So here I am in front of the drone. Your picture. All right, let's take another one. So just another quick look around the drone in the air. Nice and stable, it's not moving around. I mean, obviously that's trying to adjust to the wind, kind of pushing it around, but looks really good in the air. Of course, you know, this is my first bicopter. I've never seen another one, so I don't have much of a frame of reference. All right, let's switch this back into video recording. So press the video recording once, it goes to the video mode, and then press the recorder again. Turns on the video recording. Let's go up a little bit here. Let's see what the difference of the field of view is. Let's stop the video recording, and then we'll turn on photo mode. Let's see here. Yeah, so this must have a 4:3 sensor. You can see in photo mode it has a much wider field of view in the vertical direction compared to video mode. So we'll go back to the video mode. You'll see that basically the top and the bottom gets kind of chopped off in video mode. And yeah, and actually it's zoomed in more as well. You can see less of the left and the right compared to photo mode. Oh, it's a little bit, not that huge. Go back to video mode. Not a huge difference in field of view horizontally, just it's more vertically that there's a pretty big difference. Alright, so I'm just going to get a little bit more video here. This is going to do it for the demonstration of the flight. I'm not going to do a range test because some other people have done range tests. I think Dustin Dunnell did one last year when he got his drone. I'll link his range test video down in the video description. He went the full 7 kilometers, and there's a hard limit on the app. It won't let you go any further than that. Obviously the battery might take you further, but you know, you need to have this within visual line of sight anyway if you're flying in the US. Of course, those rules don't apply if you're flying elsewhere. Just follow your local rules, whatever they are. So I'm just doing a nice little sweep here of the surrounding area. I mean, overall the video looks pretty good. It's just that I think that could definitely benefit from manual settings and ND filters. Maybe that'll come in the future. If you guys know of any third-party ND filters for this, let me know in the comments below. Would be interested in checking those out. Alright, let's do another sweep. I'm going to bring the gimbal down a little bit here. And you can see kind of the horizon. It's a little bit skewed to the, it's kind of tilted to the left slightly. No, it actually tilted to the right slightly. So let's sweep around the other way. Possibly needs a gyro calibration. Man, it is windy right now. Solid, a good 10-15 mile an hour wind, gusting at 20 probably. When you're up in the air though, and you have the gimbal kind of pointing towards the ground, it is exposing the ground correctly. The sky is definitely overexposed. But if you're mainly trying to capture landscape type video, this is fine. Even when you're pointing into the sun, just kind of point the gimbal down a little bit and you get better exposure for the ground compared to the sky. And then when you get around to the other side where the sun is behind you, the sky is not as overexposed. It's a little, the overall exposure of the scene is more balanced compared to pointing it into the sun. And then if you're, you know, flying into the sun and pointing the camera at the sun, the ground's going to turn totally dark. So let's go ahead and let's turn around. Let me show you that. So I'm going to point right into the sun here, and I'm going to point the gimbal up. Let's see, where did the sun go? Is it over here? Yeah, it must be over here. Okay, so it's not too bad. The sun's right here. I can't point it up any more than this. The ground's not too dark. It's a little bit dark, so not as bad as when you're lower to the ground. So overall, decent. You know, for a 1/2.3 inch sensor, it looks about right. Alright, Alright, so we've been up in the air for quite a while now, and I am only at 59% battery. This thing has unbelievable flight time. So that's what you're needing if you need to go, like, not necessarily really far away, but you need long flight times to, you know, just maybe take in a lot of scenery, take a lot of video. And then yeah, this drone's for you. So I'm just doing a little backward circle here. I don't want to get too close to the tree. Alright, so stop that video recording and we'll start another one. Just a good practice to have, you know, in case something happens and you have a really long video file, and if it, you know, for whatever reason the power's cut off in the recording, you don't want to have it just basically lose your recording, get the recording corrupted. So I'm gonna fly towards this stadium light. Let's get kind of close to this and just get a little bit of a detail on the light itself. Bring the gimbal down, bring it up. Just want to see what this video actually looks like. Getting pretty close to it. I'm probably looking at it line of sight, maybe 10 meters away from the light. So it does look pretty zoomed in. And bring it down a little bit here. Yeah, let's try to do a little bit of an orbit. So I'm doing this manually. Get an idea what that kind of video looks like, kind of sweeping the background. Alright, I'm going to try some of the follow me modes here, see what that's like. 53% of the battery, lots of battery here. We'll bring it closer. Stop that video. I'm going to come out in front of this here. And can't do any kind of like put any box around you or anything like that, so let me see here. Now I can change my flight mode to Omni Follow. Let's try that. Let's go into that, and then I can click to select a target. It says altitude is too low, so I have to go above 3 meters. Let's go up a little higher. We'll bring the gimbal down a little bit here, and we'll tap on me again. They'll start recording and we'll follow the target from behind. Let's start. 3, 2, 1. And it does, okay, there's a little record button that's on the left side now. So I have a little check mark on me. I can see it is tracking me. So let's see if it actually stays behind me. I'm gonna walk away from it. It does seem like it's keeping me in the frame. Let's go off to the right here. Yeah, it definitely is working. So let's have it. I'm going to come around to the other side where the sun's behind me, because right now the lighting's good. I'm going to come around this way, and let's see here. That's pointed downwards, so it should be okay. That can still track me. So obviously it has to be above 3 meters. Let's see if I can come down a little bit here and bring the gimbal up. Okay, so now you can see the sky is a little bit overexposed there. Still tracking me. So this could definitely be used for tracking shots, or if it's this follow me mode. Alright, so that seems to be working pretty well. Let's go ahead and stop that. And I'm going to go back out. Let's see what this track shots does. Select this target. Okay, so we'll basically select the target as center and record during surging. So basically it does like a zoom away. So if the drone's in a good spot there, it's going to go up and away. Hit start. And 3, 2, 1. Is it going? Okay, it's a little bit of a delay there. Now it's going. And the drone is going up and away. I'm not sure how long or how far away it's programmed to go for. So if you're looking for those kind of like zoom away shots. Alright, I'm gonna hit stop. That's far enough. Bring it back. So yeah, you can bring it back manually. Alright, so that's working. Let's go back out and manual control. Alright, so now I'm going to try the return to home function and see what happens. So I'll do a record. Let's do return to home. So it's going to return to the... It's going to basically, based on the takeoff point, the drone will ascend to 30 meters and return. So let's go and hit return now. It's going to go up first. Got a beeping from the controller. And it goes up quite a bit. So that's a setting you can adjust in the system settings. Now it's coming back towards the home point. So it's kind of near these trees here, so we'll have to see. I might have to take over as it starts coming down. Alright, looks like it's in a safe spot. Let's see if I can point the gimbal down. I can point the gimbal down. I'm going to point it straight down and see what it's aiming at. Alright, it's descending. 23 meters, 22 meters, 21 meters. Alright, so I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna let it land. I'm gonna see if I can take over. I pushed it to the right. I'm gonna push up. That stopped it. Now it still wants to go down. I'll push it up again. Push it to the right. Still wants to land. So you can adjust the landing point. So I'm gonna let it land here, right on the side, on the sidewalk. There we go. Oh. So I wanted to land on a flat surface, so as you're, let's move the gimbal back up. As you're descending, you can adjust where it is going to land, so if you can put it into a safe spot and not just some, you know, maybe, you know, obviously GPS is going to be a little bit off, so you know, you can adjust it so it's not landing on like some unsafe spot, like on a rock or something. Right here I just made it land where I wanted it to, which is perfect. Alright, so let's go ahead and take off again. Take off now, hit record. There it goes. It's pretty low to the ground there. Notice that as you move forward, it does get kind of low to the ground. Bring it back here. Let me see if I can show you that. I'm gonna line it up with this line here. And kind of get it low. Alright, full stick forward. Let's see, is it going down any? Not really. Looks pretty steady. So that's about a meter off the ground, so that's pretty decent for keeping its altitude above the ground stable. Alright, so we're at 37% battery. I think that's gonna do it for this demo. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you want to see any more further testing of the features, if you know, something you want to specifically see, let me know in the comments. And I may do that for a future video. I was going to do it for this one. Talk to you guys in the next video.